2 weeks of the college football season have already come and gone. Blink and you know it, it'll be over soon. So let's do a level set here. We're 2 weeks in, we have new data. We've got top 25 rankings, our power rankings out on the website. Give me right now, though, if the season were to end, who do we think will be in the college football playoff?
Yeah, right now we have, Clemson, Alabama firmly over like 75% to make the college football playoff, both roughly about 30% to win the national title. And then after that, it's a bunch of teams vying for those last two positions. Georgia, I think, is firmly ahead of a group of teams that includes Oklahoma, LSU after a big win against Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, even after they held on against Army at home, Notre Dame, and Iowa coming out of the Big Ten.
Yeah, so we like the Big Ten here, obviously. We like a couple of those SEC teams. LSU cracking number 4 on our power rankings right now as well. You got to love what Joe Burrow has been able to do in 2 games this season. New offensive coordinator, new offense they're running. They go into Texas. They demolish a Big 12 defense. Not really a surprise there, but it was the way he did it. Passing 10 yards downfield. He's the highest graded passer on such passes as well. Tua Tagovailoa with Alabama. Another great game from a clean pocket. Clean pocket numbers, though, for Tua. How does that bode for Alabama going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most stable thing we know about a quarterback. So, as he was last year, he, is going in, to the latter stages of the season, probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in college football, maybe even like in the top 2, with Trevor Lawrence in there. LSU as well, like looking very good with Joe Burrow, taking a step. Last season he was a multi-purpose kind of quarterback, running the ball really well, throwing good enough. On Saturday, his throwing was the reason that they won the game against a sort of plucky Texas team who was at home. So the issue with LSU, and talk about college football playoffs, is the conference that they're in. They have to go through 2 teams there. They would have probably been eliminated had they lost against Texas, but they're firmly in the hunt here. Going to need to rattle off some victories even now after a couple huge ones to start the season.
Yeah, and we do like the rebound. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence, kind of 1 and 2. Lawrence, Tua to start the year, maybe not necessarily after 2 games.
Yeah.
We kind of like Joe Burrow right now as maybe the top. We also like Justin Fields at Ohio State as well, what he's been able to do. Trevor Lawrence, though, has a bounce-back game. Texas A&M, maybe their hardest opponent. They have a game against Syracuse that's been able to kind of be pesky and knock out quarterbacks actually in those games previously. We saw Kelly Bryant go out. We saw Deshaun Watson go out against Syracuse, and even Trevor Lawrence last year went out. What do we like Trevor Lawrence, though, and the Clemson Tigers? Do they have any hurdles, any speed bumps besides the Syracuse team?
I mean, we have them projected at 11.1 wins in a 12-game schedule. That's a lot. That's very hard when you know that the variance is always inherent. Last season, for example, they probably should have lost to Syracuse at home. They eke out of that game. That doesn't. You always have a game like that every single season, and you don't always win that game. And so for us to have them projected at 11.1 wins is substantial. To sort of like compare, we have Alabama at 10.6 because their road is tougher being in the SEC. That being said, we have Clemson, handicapped over 90% to make the college football playoff. So their road is pretty simple here, but anything can happen.
Yeah. Their largest threat on paper was Miami to start the year. They opened 0-2.
Yeah.
Maybe UNC is a threat. Who knows right now in the ACC?
UNC's been very impressive through 2 weeks.
Do like Sam Howell as a true freshman. So another kind of new quarterback face that we get to know. It's USC's Keaton Slovis. Comes in for JT Daniels. A lot of people forget that Daniels wasn't named the starter until about a week before the season started. So Slovis was able to push the incumbent starter for that role, and then JT goes down for the year. Slovis comes in. The air raid offense is very friendly to quarterbacks, obviously, but they make a big rise in our power rankings.
Yeah, I mean, they struggled against Fresno State, right? They gave up. They didn't cover the spread in the first week, but they also, basically, kind of struggled to keep like an 18-point lead. And then they start off against Stanford down, multiple scores. Not only come back and win, but win convincingly. That is, they had the 7th greatest PFF power ranking jump in terms of our ELO metric during the week. So pretty impressive for them, and will be interesting for them moving forward. Pac-12 looks like a team that's not going to have a team in the college football playoff after Washington lost to Cal, on Sunday morning, basically. But that being said, USC is always like a popular team, and if they rattle off a bunch of wins, anything's possible.
Popular team if they're sitting there with 11 wins or something, and then they get to go up against the Utah defense that could carry them through the Pac-12 title game. You have maybe one of those two that could sneak in. Washington was definitely their biggest hope. So let's cap this out, though. We've talked enough here. Another one of our biggest movers, though, who do we like that has kind of made some waves through the 2 weeks?
I mean, in the Big Ten, Maryland, we had, they started the week underdogs, and then eventually they became favorites, and then they won substantially, in week 2, and we, that they are the second biggest mover. Arkansas State, the first biggest mover, but from a small conference, they're still power rated as a below average team, even with that jump. So I think Maryland is like sort of the most notable one. After an impressive sort of blowout victory in a game. Again, they were favored by less than a field goal, but even starting the week, they were underdogs. So a nice turn of events there for them.
When you're favored at home against a top 25 team, and then you take that ranking on the AP poll as well. Anytime you hang 63 points on an ACC team, 79 points on Howard, they have a high-powered offense, but maybe temper expectations until we see a little bit more from Josh Jackson. So there you have it, though. Our power rankings, a little bit of dust up on every other team as well. For more on all of our power rankings and our top 25, though, go to pff.com.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.